let's talk about some safety tips. I'm a former 911 operator, and I just want to share some things with you guys that I learned while I was on the job. Now, small disclosure, I have not worked at that job for probably 18 years, so some things may have changed, but probably not much. So, first thing you need to know is that when you call 911, when you see on the movies it says 911, what's your emergency? When you call 911 for real, we say 911, what's the address of your emergency? If there's nothing else that you can get out when you call, the address is the most important part. On the movies, they're like, oh, we're searching your location and we found you in 2 seconds. That is only true if you call from a landline. If you call from a landline, the address automatically pops up, but we are still going to ask you what's the address of your emergency because we want to make sure, are you calling for you at this location? Or are you calling for your neighbor 2 doors down that has some shit going on? Now, if you don't give the address and you're calling from a cell phone, we can find you kind of in a, we get a radius of like, here's a 2 or 3 block radius that you may or may not be in. We do contact your cell phone provider because we can see that when you call us AT&T, is it T-Mobile, whatever. We can contact them. Hey, we just got a 911 call. Here is the latitude, longitude, whatever. But what address do you have on file for them? And it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. That's why people are like, oh, police officers took 20 minutes to get to me. Did you give them your address? So make sure you're giving the address. It is by far the most important part. Even if you yell the address, say help, and the phone goes dead, we're sending somebody to you. The other thing, when you're talking to the person on the phone, we are communicating directly with the officers, just on a different, like we're in little cubicles. You have your person answering the phone call, and then you have your person in the cubicle next to them that is actually dispatching the phone call to the officer. We're writing little notes, hey, this happened, trying to keep them informed. And that way they know exactly what to do and where to go. We are not calling them on their cell phone, like we're communicating with them on the radios. The other thing you need to know, if you have an emergency that you need an ambulance for, but it is a violent phone call, if it's a domestic dispute, a shooting, a fight, whatever the case may be, if there is still an aggressor that is possibly on scene, the ambulance are not coming to you without the officers being there first. They do what's called staging about a block away, and they wait for the officers to say, hey, it's clear, you guys are safe to come in. Paramedics do not carry weapons on them. At least they didn't when I worked there about 18 years ago. They do not carry weapons on them. So if you're upset because you can see the ambulance, but they're not coming to you, it's because we have word from a caller or somebody on scene that there is still an aggressor that is there at the scene, and the ambulance cannot risk their lives coming to save you with the officers being there. So please keep that in mind. They're not staging and staying away from you just to be assholes. Another thing about safety, when you're calling, yes, the calls are being recorded. You have a 911 line and you have a non-emergency line. The non-emergency line, if it's something, I don't know, maybe you got into a car accident, it's just a fender bender, please don't tie up the 911 line for that. Please call the non-emergency number and tell them everything. They will still get somebody out to you. It might take a little bit longer. Me, myself, even being a former employee there, my husband waited about 2 hours to have an officer come out to them because they were so incredibly busy. They had a lot of calls. There were no injuries. The car was totaled, but he was not injured. So they do kind of put those back of the line to get through the things that are priority at that time. Now, for priority calls, we do have a screen that comes up. It comes up all red. A beep goes off. Everybody knows, hey, listen the fuck up. We have a real emergency right now. And everybody knows to just wait and listen and see what's going on. Those emergency calls are going to be, a shooting, somebody severely injured, a house fire, something like that, something that needs an absolute immediate attention. That is not including, oh, you got into a fender bender and your, Lexus or Tesla got scratched by somebody. That is not including you calling saying my 18-year-old ran away. They're 18, they're an adult, they're not a runaway. Okay. What else do we have here? Oh, fire rescue. So a lot of people don't understand this. As the 911 operator that answers the phone call, we are not fire rescue. If you have something that needs a life saving, you need to have CPR done, or somebody's not breathing, or somebody's having a heart attack or something like that. We are going to transfer you. And I know that is uneasy. It's not something that you want to hear. Oh, hold the transfer, but we are staying on the line. We already have your address. If we get disconnected, we are sending an officer out there. It's not something we just leave you hanging for. The person that we are transferring it to is in the same room with us. They're just in a different cubicle. We stay on the line, especially if it's something, a violent thing, again, a domestic dispute, a fight, and somebody is injured. We stay on the line to get additional information for the safety of the officers, but you are going to be transferred over to the individual that can walk you through the medical procedures to help you get through until the paramedics actually arrive on scene. Now, the other thing, traffic stops, officers do call it in. There's a couple of things where people are, oh, I think I might be getting pulled over by a fake officer. You can call the police department and say, hey, I have somebody behind me. They're flashing their lights at me. I'm not sure if they're a police officer. Can you please check to see if you have an officer trying to pull somebody over at, I don't know, Gandy and Del Mabry? And they can pull it up. Be like, yes, we do have an officer that is attempting to make a traffic stop on you right now. Are you in a red Toyota? Yes, I am. Okay, that is a real officer. If it's not a real officer, then we're going to tell you to go to the nearest police station, and we're going to get an officer to you and make sure that you are safe in that situation. Those are very rare. We didn't get too many of those when I worked there. I personally had a call in a call like that when I did work there, and it's a little terrifying. My guy happened to be a real officer, but he didn't seem like it. But I did call it in just to verify that he was. So that's all I got for you right now for safety tips from a former 911 operator. If there's other questions that you want to know, a good one. The movies will tell you have to wait 48 hours to report somebody missing. That is a goddamn lie. You do not have to wait 48 hours to report something missing. I do not understand why Hollywood did that whole, 48 hours. I had a call when I worked there. It was a child. The parents were calling them missing. We said, when was the last time you saw them? And they said 48 hours ago. That was excruciating because the 48 hours are the most important part. You do not have to wait 48 hours to report somebody missing. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So if you do have a loved one that goes missing, a child, a dementia, anybody, okay, you can call in and report them missing an hour after. It doesn't matter. Whenever you feel the need of like, this is not normal and I really do feel like they are missing, you can call and make that report. We're going to send somebody out. We're going to make sure that we get everything that we can in order to find the individual that you were calling about. So again, any other questions or things that you want to know? Like I said, I worked there for quite some time, 2 times actually. Quit and then came back. It was kind of a whirlwind and by far the hardest job that I've ever had in my entire life. But I will say it has helped my stress levels with my current job. But again, if you have any questions about it that I can answer, I'm happy to help you out. But just keep in mind the disclosure, I did work there 18 years ago, so things may have changed since then. But if you want more on this, just comment below and I'll get one of my former coworkers that worked there longer than I did to go ahead and tell their stories about things that they have heard while on the job. Thank you.